Hello, and welcome back to another issue of Chat with Chuck. Today we're going to talk about common British idioms and phrases that you may run across when you come here, whether to live or to visit. One of the funny things about idioms is that they, between the US and the UK, is that many of them exist in both countries. So something like a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush is very well known in both countries. So we won't be talking about those because that's not very interesting. What I want to do is provide you with phrases that you may not be familiar with when you visit the UK. And I have 7 things here that I'd like to discuss with you. The first of these is to go pear-shaped. Now, the first time I heard someone say pear-shaped, I started looking around saying, what's going on? Because in the US, pear-shaped is a body type. Pear-shaped here means that something has gone wrong. For example, I'm tried to build a bench and it went pear-shaped. That means I was in the process of making it. It went wrong. It's a mess. It's not working. It went pear-shaped. So that's one that you will run across here. The second one is to be knackered. It means to be tired. I'm knackered. I'm so tired. Even saying the word knackered sounds tiring. Something you might, it's a good phrase. I actually like it quite a bit because it just shows all of the emotion of being tired. I'm knackered. I like it. So that's one that you may hear here too. And I think it's a pretty good phrase, to be honest. When you're knackered, you may not feel like doing much. At which point, you may want to faff about. Faffing about is procrastinating, putzing around, not doing anything important. You're just putzing. It's the best American phrase for it, and is someone might say, stop faffing about, stop doing nothing, stop wasting time. It's actually a phrase that my wife has picked up and occasionally uses it on me. I should talk to her about that. Well, I'll do it later. Next is to throw a spanner into the works. Now this one is similar to an American phrase. It's just that there's a different word used. And that word is spanner. Spanner here is a wrench in the United States. So if I don't tell you the meaning and I say that you've thrown a wrench into the works, you probably already know what the phrase means. But since you may not know the word spanner, I wanted to add this to the list to make sure that you knew that when someone said someone threw a spanner into the works, it's basically someone has added something to the process that screwed it up. It's not working, whether it's a process or actually doing something. If you've thrown a spanner into the works, you've messed the whole thing up. In keeping with the unintended theme of making mistakes, you have something called the dog's dinner, which can be related to food, but can also be used in other circumstances. So if something's a dog's dinner, it would be that you're making something in the process, it's not going quite right, and that point at which you realize that it's wrong is when you say, well, there's the dog's dinner, that's the dog's dinner. You're going to give it to the dog. I'm not sure why you're giving it to the dog didn't do anything to you, but you're giving him the stuff that's messed up. But, it's a dog. He doesn't care. The next one is taking something that doesn't belong to you. And that is to nick something. It can mean to steal, as in violation of the law. It can also be taking something that's minor, that's not a violation of the law. You nicked the last cookie or you took the last something. It's not always meant to be a bad, horrible thing that's happened. But it is a term that's used instead of stealing or taking something that's not meant for you to take, or it was a little rude to take it. But that's what they mean. Or they mean stealing. It can go either way on that. But something being nicked is an extremely common term here. The last one is by far my favorite British idiom. On some of the other ones that we've talked about, you can get a hint as to what they are. You have an idea as to what the dog's dinner is, or throwing a spanner into the works. I mean, there's a little something there that if forced to, you could possibly figure out what it is. This one is not like that at all. This one makes no sense. It's somewhat common, but the first time I heard it, I was actually in a meeting with two Brits, an Aussie, New Zealander, and another American. And one of the people was talking about a process. This happened, that happened, Bob's your uncle, and we're done. I looked over at the other American and I said, who's Bob? Why is he my uncle? But that's a phrase. It basically means, a synonym for it would be a combination of yada yada yada, voila, ta-da. You know, it just skips out the last few points before you get to the end. I went into the refrigerator. I took out some leftovers. I put them in the microwave, pushed a couple buttons, Bob's your uncle, I had dinner. That's how that would be used. Still one of my favorites. Makes no sense whatsoever. Anyway, so there's 7 idioms and phrases that you might be interested in learning. Ones that you will probably hear, at least a couple of them, if you ever come here or live here. And I hope that you find that useful. If you could please subscribe, that's the button down over here. Like, share, comment. Any issues that you'd like me to discuss, put them in the comments. If I get enough people interested, I'll do it. That's it for now. Thanks so much.